Well, thank you so much for joining us again. And today we have some awesome special guests, Scott and Angie Farmer. Welcome to the couch in the pastor's office.
Yay.
You like being in trouble?
I feel like that.
No,
I'm in
no.
the office.
No, and you know, they're married, so they can be this close together. Those that want to know if we're still practicing social distance. So just thanks for coming and hanging out. And I'm looking forward to just asking a couple of questions. But let me just start by saying, tell me a little bit about yourselves. How long you been coming to Flat Rock and all that good stuff?
I grew up, my mom and dad lived really close by, and I grew up in the church as a child. My parents and I and my sister, we attended for a long time as a family. Then my parents stopped coming for a while. You know, life happens, they work and stuff like that. My sister and I kept coming as kids. We'd ride our bikes up from the house because we lived less than a mile away. You know, life continued through GAs and Atkins until I graduated high school. Then went on to college and then kind of fell out myself, attending Flat Rock for a while, working, going to school full time. And then after we got married and had kids, we were trying to find a church that we felt like could minister to our family.
That's good.
Children tend to make you reprioritize life a little bit.
1,000,000%. I understand that one for sure.
And we wanted our children to be raised in church, and so we came back here and ended up staying.
Speaking of the kids, and I know that there's something that your kids are very involved in and have been through the years that I think is very cool. I've had the privilege this past week to hang out with these guys. We went walking on a nature trail close by in Easley, and we social distanced and heard all the good stories about the Boy Scouts. And obviously there's so much that we can talk about, but tell us a little bit about, I guess, the church and Boy Scouts and how all this stuff resonates in your heart, but yet how the church probably doesn't even realize how close it really is to us to being able to be used by God potentially, not only at church but also in the community.
The first thing I want to talk about is the one of the big reasons that the Boy Scouts did move, or actually the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts did move to Flat Rock, was because the Boy Scout organization is responsible for following the charter of the church.
Okay.
So by moving to Flat Rock, that allowed us to stay with the Christian values of the church. So it's important that that we understand that the church charter is what dictates what the Boy Scouts can and can't do.
That's awesome.
So as far as our leadership, the morals, as far as the morals, as far as camping, and as far as with unmarried couples and such, that we follow the church charter. So I think that's the important part, and that was the primary reason why the Boy Scouts did move to Flat Rock.
Yeah. See, I had no idea. I just thought, especially when you watch TV, you just think, oh, well, all this stuff in the news with the Boy Scouts, and I'm thinking, man, how do they make these calls? And then when you said that when you are involved in the church and it takes on those values, I thought, wow, what a great opportunity. So anyway, not to derail what you were saying.
No, that's
great.
That was the one reason why the Blue Ridge Council actually approached us to move the Boy Scouts to Flat Rock.
There was another troop in that our kids were attending, and it was great. At that time, the Boy Scout Association, BSA, had adopted some different rules about homosexual leadership and attendance and things like that, and it was difficult for some of us who are raised in Baptist belief system. We weren't real comfortable with our children.
That's right.
So the local BSA approached us and said, if you would like to, start an additional troop with your church, we would support that.
The first group to move was the Cub Scouts.
Yeah. The
Cub Scouts came first, and then they started with 5 Boy Scouts.
5 Boy Scouts.
So you go from 5 to where are you today, you think?
Yeah, about like 27.
Wow, that's awesome.
Boy
Close
Scouts,
to it.
The people at Flat Rock that are watching, what can you say to them? Give them an elevator speech on maybe how they can get involved, or maybe what's to come, or a next step. Is there anything particular besides prayer, of course? But I know now it's a little bit different. But when all this stuff is lifted, then what do you think? Anything?
I think there's a lot that the church can do for the Scouts. First of all, I feel like I need to say the church already does so much for the
Oh,
Scouts
that's cool.
by allowing us to come and basically overtake the church a couple times
Yes.
a week.
The facilities.
yeah,
When
the
they first started out, they
facilities.
donated the trailer to allow us to use the trailer.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
They do.
There's
There's a lot of support there, a lot of prayer. We do Scout Sunday, and the church always cooks dinner for our Scouts and things like
I
that.
saw a picture of basically a whole side of the church full.
Oh yeah,
I don't know how I found that picture somewhere,
yeah.
but I thought it was just so cool to see all those Scouts there that Sunday.
And we like to incorporate the Scouts, and I'd like to see this continue, and that's up to you guys on how you want to do that. But we like to use the Scouts in different services throughout the year, whether it be like Memorial Day and Veterans Day and things like that, to make it more special.
Yeah.
Where the Scouts can come in and present flags and do the pledge and things like that, and be part of the church. Things like that, involving the Scouts in any project like that is possible. The Scouts have to do, service hours, community service hours. So anytime there's a ministry or, some service project that the church is doing, it's a great opportunity to also incorporate the Scouts into that.
That's good.
So that they can help out. They're great workers. They really are. Sometimes you got to direct them a little bit, but you're talking about teenage
I was
kids.
going to say, what kid or what
Yeah.
teenager
Yeah.
that you have to
Yeah.
gently guide?
But they're great. They're really good workers, and they're good kids.
That's awesome.
But there's lots of other things too. All the Scouts, the Scout program, I really am passionate about, and I didn't think I'd ever would be one of those moms, because I had some hesitancy about our children joining Scouts. I wouldn't let Josh join until he was in 3rd grade, because my fears prohibited me from allowing him to get involved in some of those groups and stuff. And I wish I'd let him join earlier.
Right.
Matthew's been in since he was a Tiger Cub, which was
little.
1st grade.
Yeah.
And then Josh just finished his Eagle Scout. But watching what these
You
kids,
just slid that real quick. By the way,
by the way,
Yeah,
Josh finished
is
his
an
Eagle Scout.
Eagle Scout. That's a big
It
deal.
is a big deal. He worked hard for it.
That's awesome.
But it's cool to watch, and I can just test from what I've seen with the kids. It's cool to see how their leadership skills develop, their self-confidence. There's a lot of skills that they learn in scouting that our kids are not taught anymore. You don't learn these things in school, and a lot of times parents are not teaching these children these skills at the same time. So it's a great opportunity for the church to be involved and to teach these morals and these values and character traits that our world doesn't teach our kids.
That's good.
I think it's important that the Scouts do a really good job of developing boys to men.
Yes.
And how to get from this level to developing skills to understand how to become a good man in society. But the important part is, I think that we can do as a church is more than just development to be a man, but to be a godly man.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, I have a book over there on the shelf that is actually characteristics of a godly man.
Yeah.
And so when you thought about that, I thought, man, we can easily kind of walk these guys through this process. And, obviously it's up to them to receive it. But the call of the church is to do it. At the end of the day, they got to make that choice whether to grow and continue to grow in the Lord. But I just think that's great. So I just appreciate you guys coming today and just kind of hanging out. And just to brag on Scott, and I know he doesn't want me to, but him and Josh helped us set up our gathering that you see here that we're able to video. And so I appreciate that. I know you don't like to receive glory, but that's Josh did. Josh did. The Eagle Scout, So, but I just appreciate you guys doing that. I know it helps me get to know folks, and it's been kind of cool. But I think I've heard nothing but unbelievable positive things from the church as they get to see a familiar face. Just talk just for 5 minutes or so, just about their life and what kind of encouragement they can offer the church. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys stopping by. I look forward to hanging out soon.
No
All
problem.
right, thanks.
See you.